So with the iPhones out of the way, let's now focus on the MacBook Pros that of course we should see at the October event, because we have details regarding the chips in this and the upgrades we should see. So there has been tons of back and forth on the release of these new 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros, because some believe we're going to see it this year with some pretty basic refreshes and M2 Pro/Max chips based on the same 5nm process. However, there's also another group telling us that maybe we could see an early 2023 release and Apple would give us M2 Pro/Max chips based on a 3nm process that gives us much better performance. However, I will be honest guys, I do think the iPhone 14 Pro release has cleared up things regarding this, because many of us were expecting a 15 to be 5nm because of the chip shortage, but Apple surprised us and gave us 4nm chips with the iPhone 14 series. And also we just found out there are new cores with the A16, so we have big cores that are codenamed Everest and smaller cores that are codenamed Sawtooth, and so yeah, I do think we could see these cores in the M2 Pro and M2 Max. And yeah, this would line up with what Minchi Kuo told us recently, because he says components for 3nm chips won't be available till 2023, and of course, these MacBooks are entering mass production in Q4, so as a result, it's pretty unlikely they get 3nm. And yeah, TSMC has also told us similar things in the past, and they're only going to be shipping these chips out in 2023 Jan, so yes, that again does suggest to me M2 Pro/M2 Max are going to be 4nm. And this would be perfect because these Macs for the most part are going to be chip refreshes, and so we need performance gains with these chips that are major enough to of course be a major USB for these Macs. And so moving to a 4nm process is going to give us that. And yes, early Geekbench scores have told us we could get a 17% multi-core score improvement with the A16 chips, and so yes, translating that to the MacBooks could give us some decent performance upgrades. And Gurman, by the way, does agree with a full release. Apparently these MacBooks are in development as we speak, and so yes, I'm pretty confident we could see these launch at the October event. Now do note, Kuo does predict Apple's going to be cutting mini LED orders by 20 to 30% for these MacBooks, and that makes sense because after any major super cycle follows of course a very minor refresh, and a lot of consumers are not going to be upgrading their Macs within a year, so naturally sales are going to be less for these new MacBooks. And so that's why I think it's crucial that of course Apple gives us the right performance upgrades to convince older users that hey, you should buy the M2 versions and not get the M1 Pro/Max MacBook Pros on clearance. Also, since Apple has focused on the efficiency with the A16 chip, it would be nice to see battery upgrades with these MacBooks. The 14-inch especially does pale in comparison to the M2 MacBooks, so giving it a sizable battery upgrade could of course convince consumers to get this. So yeah, there's that guys. I'm pretty confident these MacBooks are going to get 4nm chips, and the upgrades should be more significant than of course the regular M2 was. Now as to when we should see the October event take place, we do have a few hints. Number one, the iPhone 14 Plus does release on October 7, and in the past, when products have been delayed, Apple does have another event around that time frame to of course reconfirm the release date. Apple did this with the iPad Air 4, which of course had a September announcement, but then an October release alongside the new iPhones, and so that could be the case here where of course we see new iPads and Macs launch alongside the 14 Plus. Then again, that might be too soon, so of course we do have another hint with the back to school promo, because in Europe that ends on the 17th, and of course last year Apple conveniently had the October event right after the promo ended, so of course it's likely that could be the case again and we see the event take place on the week commencing on the 24th. So yeah, basically we're pretty close to the release of these MacBooks. And for those wondering why is Apple updating these MacBooks so soon after the release of the M1 models, I do think this is because Apple's trying to give us yearly refreshes with their Macs. You see, in the past Apple had irregular patterns with their refreshes because they relied on Intel for their chips, so they had no control over the release. However, that's no longer the case. Apple makes the chips, and so they can decide to give us new models whenever they want. And ideally, I think it would be helpful for consumers to have a regular Mac refresh cycle, so of course, consumers know when to expect new models. Let's take the iPhone for example. We always know a new iPhone is going to come out in September, so around July, August time, we can be sure that of course, there is no point buying the current iPhone and we should wait for the new models instead. But that's not been the case with the Macs, and especially with the 2021 MacBook Pros and the release of the M2 MacBook Air, there was so much confusion regarding it, and so having a regular cycle of upgrades is going to be appreciated. And even if we are seeing small chip refreshes, having a regular cycle means that of course, consumers get the latest model when of course they're ready to buy, and do remember that those looking for good deals, I'm sure the M1 Pro / Max MacBook Pros are going to get even cheaper. So yeah, this is a win-win situation for most consumers. Now, in case you're wondering about any other upgrades we should see with these MacBooks, we could see the new Bluetooth 5.3 tech that of course the iPhones and AirPods have, also HDMI 2.1 support. But yeah, really the big upgrade's going to be the new chips that could maybe give us better battery life and also additional RAM options. Also, I'm hoping we do see new colors. That would be great. A Midnight MacBook Pro would look absolutely fantastic. So yes, I'm hoping we see that this year with the M2 refreshes. Anyways, let's delve into your comments. So Alien AI 2.0 says, not excited for the upcoming price hikes for these MacBook Pros. Now, if you're referring to the US, I don't think there's going to be price hikes there because we were predicting the 14 series would get price hikes, but that was not the case. And so yes, I doubt such minor refreshes to the MacBook Pros are going to warrant a price hike. However, if you're referring to the rest of the world, then yes, we could see price hikes. We saw major price hikes with the 14 series, and so I'm pretty anxious about the pricing for these Macs, and if it's really outrageous, I think you're better off getting the 2021 models. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me your thoughts regarding this report in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the above and details regarding the iPhone 14 series, and on that note, see ya peeps.